All right, hi, welcome back, Attorney Steve Vondran. Welcome to another exciting video. This time we are talking parody and the limits of free speech. Just how far should free speech be allowed to go? If you're poking fun of someone, should that be protected by the First Amendment? What if it involves something that is akin to yelling fire in a crowded theater? Well, let's take a look. This is a really interesting case. It's going up to the United States Supreme Court up on writ of certiorari, as we call it. I have a video on that. I'll link to it in the description area. But this is an interesting case. So this guy, Anthony Novak, he creates he lives in the city of Parma, Ohio, and he creates this website it's a Facebook page that looks like it's the city of Parma police department. And so he creates this parody website and he starts posting, some would say it looks like parody. Some would go, oh my God, is this real? But let's show you some of the things. And what happened is he was actually not convicted. He was brought up on charges for interfering with police services like 911 services, emergency services. And he was actually tried for a crime and the jury didn't go for it. And they said, no, this is like free speech. He gets to say what he wants here. Like, holy cow, he was just doing like a parody website. So then he goes and he files a lawsuit against the city of Parma, some of the police officers at issue. And the court held that they had a qualified immunity, and so that he couldn't sue because of this immunity. That's why me personally, as a lawyer, I don't like to get involved in trying to sue the government or its officials. I think there's just a lot of red tape and a lot of hair there. Not to say it can't be done. But anyway, he lost, took it up on appeal, lost, and now he's petitioning the Supreme Court of the United States. I saw The Onion was in there trying to do a amicus brief, like a Friends of the Court brief in support of free speech. So we'll see what happens here, but I just want to take you down and just so you guys realize, I want everyone to realize, yes, there is free speech, but you got to be careful because there are limits to free speech. And while it might be fun exercising your rights, so to speak, it could lead you into some problems. And I'm just going to show you. So here's what they had. They had this website that had this detective badge. So it looked like the city of Parma, I should say. I don't know why I'm saying Parma. The city of Parma Police Department. And so he had it here. So it kind of looked official and it mimicked what the actual city of Parma Police Department page looked like. Now, when you're trying to do parody in First Amendment, one of the things you may have seen in my prior videos, I got lots of videos on parody, free speech, blogs, is you need to make fun or poke fun at the original. And this is what they were trying to do here with this parody site. Now, I guess in my mind, the problem sometimes is that some people are going to go, well, wait, that's real. Oh my gosh. And they're calling into the police department. And so then they had to explain, well, ma'am, sir, that's not a real, that's not our website. So I can see kind of their interest in having the phones clogged or whatnot. So, but it's very interesting, but there is obviously a free speech interest here. He was making fun. Let's look at some of the things they were saying, though. And you decide, should this be the limits of free speech? The court said no. The criminal court said no. There's nobody going to jail for this kind of thing. So what do you think? Give me your thoughts down in the comment sections. Police officer, City of Parma. The Parma Civil Service Commission will conduct a written exam for basic police officer for the city of Parma to establish an eligibility list. The exam will be held on March 12, 2016. Applications are available February 14, 2016 through March 2, 2016. Parma is an equal opportunity employer, but is strongly encouraging minorities to not apply. The test will consist of 15 questions, multiple choice, definition test, followed by a hearing test. Should you pass, you will be accepted as an officer of the Parma Police Department by order of Parma Civil Service Commissioner John Hill. To see Dan Coffey, so they were doing these kinds of things, and some people, I guess it's a question of how did they find the site, but they ultimately got a search warrant, searched his house. Pulled a bunch of stuff out of there, charged him with this crime. And so eventually he came back and he's suing the city of Parma, some of the police departments, but they were found not liable due to a qualified immunity. So the Supreme Court's going to have to decide, is he entitled to go and sue these officers for his First Amendment free speech rights? So we'll wait to see. Here's another one of the posts. The City of Parma Police Department will enact a pedophile reform event outside of St. Anthony of Padua Church on 5/1/16 in an attempt to reform pedophiles to normality. We will have multiple learning stations, including a no means no station filled with puzzles and quizzes. Anyone who passes all of their stations will be removed from the sex offender registry and accepted as an honorary police officer of the Parma Police Department. Have fun out there. So, was it a parody, free speech, that kind of thing? So here's one more. Let's do two more. Due to the slow increase of a homeless population in our city, the Parma Police Department is pleased to announce that it will be introducing a new temporary law that will forbid residents of Parma from giving any homeless person food, money, or shelter in our city for 90 days. This is an attempt to have the homeless population eventually leave our city due to starvation. Residents caught giving the homeless population food, shelter, or water will be sentenced to a minimum of 60 days in jail. You have been warned. So you can see how somebody might look at this as yelling fire in a crowded theater. But, this is one of those interesting cases because to me, it's kind of on the line. But again, there is free speech parody. If it's a parody making fun of the original, then that can be protected. So let's do one more. The Parma Police Department and Parma Auxiliary Police food drive to benefit teen abortions will take place on Saturday. We will be giving out free abortions to teens using an experimental technique discovered by the Parma Police Department. All teens must bring a note from their parent to be part of the experiment. The abortions will be held Saturday, 5/19/2016 from noon to 4 in a police van in the parking lot at Giant Eagle in Broadway View. So anyway, you get the idea. So they're kind of these fake announcements. I guess from your point of view, is it funny or what? Is it a parody? Those are what's issue. And so it'll be interesting to see if the Supreme Court allows him to be heard and allows him to actually go after the police department, or they may not even take it up on review. The Supreme Court, they're what we call the court of last resort. They get to pick and choose. They got a really nice schedule. They get to pick and choose what they want. So there it is. Just be careful when you have free speech rights. Yes, sometimes free speech is not so free. Sometimes free speech has consequences. So be careful. Make sure you're knowing what you're doing because you don't want to end up, at least me personally, I don't want to end up going through this big, long legal process and now you're trying to sue and will it go through? And, so anyway, but I just thought that was a really interesting way to illustrate free speech, parody in action, how it could lead to a criminal complaint. And then ultimately, now it's like apparently some big case that we'll see if the Supreme Court actually wants it or not. Thanks for watching. General legal information only, not legal advice. Have a great day. I got to run. Bye now.